And so we have, really 5 main pursuit drills that we do. And each one of them is very specific to a part of pursuit. And some of them are designed better to be done, when you're in the early days of fall camp and you don't have pads on yet. So it's a great drills to do in the off season when you don't have pads on. And some of them are better once you have pads on. But really, you can work on pursuit year round. Okay. And so the first one we have is we call cutback pursuit. Okay. And in setting up this drill, you're going to take a cone and we put it right on the numbers, usually on the goal line. And then you're going to set up a line of rabbits. And you can have as many guys here as you want. I recommend you have at least 4 or 5. That way you're not waiting on a guy to come over after each rep. Okay. And then you're going to put a cone right on the hash about 5 yards deeper, and you're going to put all your defensive linemen there. Okay. You're going to go 5 yards back, and you're going to go just inside the hash, and that's where you're going to put your linebackers. And then 5 yards deeper, just inside the hash, that's where you're going to put your DBs. And then we mirror this drill. So if we have this on the right side of the field, we got the exact same thing going on the left side of the field. And then halfway through, the groups switch. That way they're working it to the right and they're working it to the left. Okay. And the purpose of this drill is to eliminate the cutback that happens in pursuit. We always talk about how over pursuit is just as bad as no pursuit. If I'm running to try to beat somebody to a spot, I'm creating the avenue for them to cut back on me. So I do not want to be in a position where I'm creating a cutback. So I want to be tempoing that near hip. So we want our guys to attack the hip of the ball carrier as long as nobody else is already in that lane. If somebody else is already in that lane, then I can work to get out ahead of that guy because he's already taking care of the cutback and he's going to force the ball to stay on path. So, and this is, again, we're trying to simulate things. We want drills to show up on tape. If we are drilling it in practice, we should be able to stop game tape or practice footage and be like, here is the drill. If I put a cone here, cone here, cone here, cone here, what is that drill? Can our players tell us that, hey, that's cutback pursuit right there? So we want the drills to show up on tape. If they're not showing up on tape, then we're wasting our time. So on the whistle, the rabbit's going to run right down the numbers. And that's all we want them to do. If you can see that you got the opportunity to cut back, we want you to cut back. But the defensive lineman is going to come in. His first job is to make the rabbit stay on track, tempo the inside hip. Linebacker is going to come across. His job is to not overrun and try to beat him to a spot, tempo the hip, make him stay on track. And then with our DBs, we want them to start in the pedal, and then they'll break out of the pedal, and they're going to run that inside-out banana, tempo in the hip. And then we should see all 3 guys, 2 hands below the waist, near foot, near shoulder on the finish. That's what we're looking for, okay? All right, so here it is in practice. Here's my line of defensive linemen right here. Here's my line of linebackers, and then here's my line of DBs. And then you can see again on the opposite side of the field, here's my line of DBs, here's my line of linebackers, and then my line of D linemen are over here. So we got 6 guys going at a time, so we're able to get tons and tons of reps on this. Okay, and again, we're trying to tempo the inside hip, the near hip of the ball carrier. As long as he is in the lane where this guy can't cut back, then I'm going to make the next guy right, and I'm going to make the next guy right. Okay, so you can see here our defensive lineman does a great job. He takes away the initial cutback. Then our linebacker is going to be in the next window. No cutback there. And then there's our DB. All 3 guys, when they get there, we want to be near hip, near shoulder, 2 hands below the waist on the ball carrier. Why spend all that time running to him and then not be in a position to finish? You can see the DB is going to initially start to come downhill, and then he'll change his angle as necessary. And then, like I said, we've changed this drill now to where this guy will start in a pedal and then go into the inside-out banana, not just initially start running like this. Okay, and then always, again, we want to see drills show up on tape. So here's in a game situation. Again, if I put a cone right here, cone right here, cone right here, here's my D lineman, here's my linebacker, here's my DB. This is going to be a toss play here. So the ball is going to get thrown out on the perimeter, and then that would be my ball carrier starting outside. Okay, so each person's trying to get to the inside hip of the ball carrier, not allowing the ball carrier to try to cut back inside. So here first, you see number 40. There's my D end. Perfect. Make the ball carrier have to go outside, run the longest distance to try to get the shortest amount of yardage. Okay, so now let's watch the inside backer. As long as my defensive lineman did a good job, then I can tempo his hip, start to come downhill. Boom, right there. Here's my backer, just like in the drill. And then here comes my DB. If you watch the DB, he's going to start in his pedal. Then he's going to start to run the alley. So now we get all three guys, again, building that wall inside out. All right, so we use cutback pursuit whenever our team's having a problem with over pursuing. So if we're watching, game film or practice film, and our issue in pursuit is that we're constantly over pursuing, then hey, we got to do cutback pursuit. We got to get guys to get back to tempo in the hip of the ball carrier. And so that's the purpose of cutback pursuit for us. And when we start fall camp, we're always going to install each one of these pursuit drills, one each day. And then once we have them all in, that's when we start doing the run percentage on whether or not we're going to do pursuit or not. Okay. All right. So the next one we call sideline pursuit. Okay. So in setting up sideline pursuit, you're gonna need 6 agile bags. You can use pop-up dummies. You can use hand shields, some type of bag, because we're gonna actually have the guys, make contact on the bag and tackle the bag. Okay. So we take the bags and we put them just inside the numbers, and we have a scout body holding the bag, and we want them to hold the bag upfield. Okay. So we want them to hold the bag upfield. And we do that on both sides because our players don't know which direction I'm going to send them yet. Okay. I have 4 guys come out and we stack them just like a 4 on a dice. Okay. I stand right in front of them, and then I'm going to tell them some type of movement. Hey, we're going to jump in the air. We're going to do an up down. We're going to do a seat roll either direction. Okay. So what we're trying to teach with sideline pursuit is the first thing is not following your own color. So if somebody else has already taken that pursuit lane, we want to work over the top of them to work to the next one. Okay. So we're working on not following our own color. The other thing we're trying to teach with this is how to get up off the ground when you fall. Was I on my face? It's an up down. I get knocked on my butt. It's a seat roll. It's a seat roll. Did I jump in the air when I wasn't supposed to in pass rush, or did I jump in the air to try to play a ball in the air as a coverage player? How do I get my feet back on the ground and start running immediately? So we're trying to get those guys to get back on their feet as fast as possible and then get to running. Okay. So as the coach, those guys, as soon as they come out, they're going to start chopping their feet. And I'm just going to tell them, jump, jump, up, down, seat roll, do whatever you want. And then after you've done what you've wanted, point to one side or the other. Okay. And then it is a race to try to get to the closest bag that you can get to. So as I'm racing to this bag, if I see that somebody else is out in front of me, then I need to check mark to get to the next bag. Okay. If there's somebody else already in front of me to that bag, I would continue to check mark to the next bag. And there's only 3 bags. So it's a competition. You're trying to get to one of the bags. If you're the last guy who doesn't get to a bag, you just continue to run past the last bag as if the ball carrier was still running. The other element of this is we get to work on a form-fitted tackle. So when our guys get there, we want to see them get there, near foot, near shoulder, running through, drive for 5, squeeze on the bag. And then those 3 guys that tackle the bags are holding the bag again for the next group. And again, this is rapid fire. So I usually break the guys up, D-line, linebackers, DBs. As soon as one group goes to the bags, the next group has already popped out and they're chopping their feet ready to go. And we're going through the drill. So we get tons and tons of reps at this within a 5-minute period. And we're working on, again, not following our own color in pursuit, and then being able to get up off the ground when necessary. Okay. Okay. So here's the drill. Again, you can see I got agile bags here, 5 yards apart. Guys holding the agiles. This side just went. So these guys are reloading on the agiles. I got 4 guys up. They're all in their initial locations. Okay. Now I'm telling them to do an up down, seat roll, jump up in the air, whatever it is. And now I'm pointing to one side or the other. So now it's a race to try to get to the closest bag. So he's trying to get to the first bag. He's trying to get to the first bag. If he sees somebody else is already in that lane, that window, then he's going to check mark and work to the next one. Again, he's trying to get to the closest bag. He's trying to get to the closest bag. If you see somebody else is in that lane, he's going to check mark and work to the next one. So you can see here, it's a really good job by this guy recognizing that somebody else is already in that window and to now work to the next window over. Everybody, when they get there, near foot, near shoulder on the bag, drive for 5 through contact. Last guy check marks all the way past the bag. And again, if we have anybody that makes a mistake here, if we get an issue where we get 2 guys on one bag, we repeat the drill immediately. We don't let those guys rotate out. We fix the mistake right away. Okay. And I can send them either direction on this. And then those guys that tackle the bags are the next guys that are holding the bags. You can see the next group is already out, already chopping their feet, ready to go.